Hey guys, this is Vestman. You know me as a value streamer. Um, I show myself on Instagram a little bit later in the afternoon when I visit my mom. The question is, my mom is hanging in there. She is doing good. She's doing a little bit better, but she does need long-term care. The only reason I'm doing this again and putting the video, um, and half of you know my first name as you see this, but the only reason I'm having a problem is the social worker at the place that she's at in the nursing home. And the social worker came out and saying that a couple needs the long-term beds and they don't have the long-term beds. So the couple needs the long-term beds because she can't walk far or she needs to be close to him. Isn't it the same thing that I'm asking for my mom? My mom is in the wheelchair right now. She needs a two-person assist to help her up in and out in the bed. She's not a lightweight person, and no one seems to give a damn about my mom. And the only one that gives a damn about my mom is me, the CNA to some point, to some CNAs that works over there, and some nurses that works over there. And no one gives a damn about my mom health problems or something. You want me to look for long-term care. You found one, but she's far away to go there. And she's not nearby. There's nothing around close enough in Manhattan. You gotta say nothing close enough in Manhattan. There's always gonna be somewhere close in Manhattan if you don't try to do your job. Do your job and you look for it. Not always doing your job for you. I said I will try my best to help and look, but it's not the best that I'm gonna get to look. Your job is your job, not mine. Now, you came out saying in the morning of the work and speaking to me about it, um, that the couple needs there to see her husband. He needs the long-term beds. He needs the rehab. And to me, you're kicking out my mom that she could give her bed to somebody else. And I have a funny feeling about this. You all care about money, not the Medicaid or Medicare money. You all care about money. I think, in my opinion, they're paying you out of pocket because they're rich, they're famous, maybe, or something that comes out being famous. So it doesn't make any sense for me to say I need my mom nearby. My mom cannot walk very well, and this is the problem, social worker. I'm not gonna say your name out there, but you know who you are. You don't see my mom how she is. You do not observe how she is. You do not see her how she is. You don't complete how she is. The physical therapy, the occupational therapy are there to help her and assist. I'm keep fighting and fighting and to keep her nearby because it's close to my work site. My work site. I don't need to go all around and look for a bus or a train. It's right there. And then I see your ratings. You have about 3.9, and then the other rating has about 2.6. And then people change, right? Now, we had this talk before about the long term care. Now, you said I could walk, but the husband's wife cannot walk far. That's not my problem. She's paying the money out of pocket. She should pay the cab. I pay a cab sometimes. I take the bus most of the time. I get money, get a cab. Maybe she have a private chauffeur that could take her if she's paying you out of the cab. That's my opinion. So now I call that place again for that long-term care. So they gotta send the paperwork, and you send the paperwork to them already to see. They'll look by case. Now this is a dilemma, and I'm gonna say this very well and say it again. This is kind of a dilemma. If there's nothing there in the long-term care, then we're gonna send her back in the hospital, and Medicare and Medicaid is gonna say, "What the heck is wrong with you guys? Why are you letting this person go in circles, in circles, in circles?" So the place I live in is not medical equipped. You say you want her to get medical equipped? How are you gonna do that if the elevators don't work very well, like your elevators don't work very well? So I could walk, I could visit my mom. My mom is in the wheelchair. She needs two-person assist, and if something happens to her, I'm gonna curse you out. Now, here is this. That was I said that already with the dilemma about the Medicare and Medicaid. Because if you send her back in the hospital, the social worker in the hospital is gonna find out, and they're gonna probably find a social worker there and find another nursing home that could be long-term care unit. But when that insurance spoke to you and me, it's gonna start over again. 100 days, paying for the short-term rehab, and Medicaid pays after the 100 days. Now, you spoke to me about calling them, but you didn't do your job for calling them because you didn't do it well enough to speak to the person well enough. Why do I have to email a place to get to the person to admissions? Now, I know they helped me out. I know you try to help me out. You try to put my mom in a place of another nursing home. That's too far away. And I need somewhere nearby her. Now, I'm going to say I'm not perfect. You're not perfect. But this is the thing. I feel I'm going to say this. I'm going to change the color here. I feel the blues because you got me pissed off this morning while I was work. You got me pissed off because you came out with a remark about a couple needs the bed. You better go for that. And you have 120 patients. Not my problem. That's a different story. That's your problem. And you said you can't accommodate. You can't accommodate because you don't want the Medicare or the Medicaid money. That's why you can't accommodate. You don't want their money. The insurance pay you for this managed long-term care, and that you do have long-term beds because the person of the patient advocate of the long-term care ombudsman, he is the supervisor. He says you got long-term beds. So that means you're lying or he's lying. Is he that long-term care person? Is he from the Department of Health? Am I right? I think in my head he is part of the Department of Health because you're not following the regulations of Department of Health, are you? It's not safe for her to go home and you agree to that. It's not safe for her to go home and you still agree to that. But the long-term care, my mom needs long-term care. How many times I have to say it that my mom needs long-term care. And then you want to send her home because there's no long-term beds. You have freaking long-term beds. It's that you don't want Medicaid money. Medicare already is paying for you, but you just don't want the Medicaid money for the insurance that might pay for a year. I want to tell you something this. And before it was Empire Blue Shield, when my mom was there in August for that until September 8 in 2023, I had a letter and they probably sent it to you and then you had to shred it because she was back home. But I had a letter part for her say she will stay in the year for the managed long-term care for a year and I have to pay out for the copay. And guess what? Nothing happens because they took that back. So that means the managed long-term care part of the Medicaid would have paid for you. But since, like I said, in my opinion, and I have opinion, and I thought about it, and I think that opinion is you just get paid out of pocket from a rich people because they're close and the couple wants them nearby because they don't live far, they live close by. It's the same reason for me. It's the same reason for me, for my mom. I'm close by. You're close by. For me, it's still close by. West side, east side, south, north. To me, in the east, to the west, it's still close by. I take the bus after I finish my work. It takes about 10-minute ride to get to visit you guys. So the social worker that I'm talking about knows how pissed off I am at her, and she knows who I'm talking about. So if I put this on YouTube and I put this on Instagram, then you tell me if you have long-term beds and you don't have any, and then why that long-term care as an inpatient advocate, the supervisor, the guide that works part of the Department of Health says to me, they have long-term beds. Means so this is my idea. I think, and I keep hearing and hearing and hearing it, that the long-term beds are not going to be long-term care because you're changing into a rehab. And I'm going to put it this way. Long-term care for my mom. And if you have long-term care for my mom, I'd rather have her there because she already knows you guys. I'd rather have her there because she already knows you how you are, guys. But since you changed it, since you took that away, I'm gonna say to myself as investment, a stream investment, but you know my first name already. You know my last name already. But the thing, I'm gonna say to myself, well, maybe next week or maybe before my birthday, I go to a place to have fun. I go to a place and win something big, and I be on the news and says, ladies and gentlemen, this person won this and this place. He's on the news. He's gonna get a special commendation. And if you ask me, I want your mom back in that place. Think what I'm going to say. I'm gonna say this again. The social worker for that my mom is at right now, you have long-term beds. The problem is you just don't want the Medicaid money. You just want rich people money. And that's I'm pissed off. But also I'm pissed off the way of the remark that a couple that lives close by because she can't walk far. Not my problem. I could walk, but I'm not the patient. My mom is in a wheelchair. My mom cannot walk. I want to see this social worker to be and observe my mom. How can she walk on a different day of a basis? You could see her how she is. Because if not, that is on your fault. Social worker, 6th floor. I hope I'm done. Because if she goes to another nursing home and they request that to put her there for the long-term care, then I think if I go somewhere and win something big and then you gets my mom back, I don't think she'll go back. But she'll probably go back for the short term again. And you'll see her for the short term again. Until then, you gotta keep doing this around the circles. Because Medicaid and Medicare is not gonna play around for going in circles. And that's gonna be one thing that you may not care about. But in my opinion, I just think you're more about the money than about the people's health. That should have been long-term care. Other people live for 14 years, 10, and they move slowly down for long-term. My mom could have stayed for a year and probably come back home. But since You want the money from the rich people. Snobby people might think they could be snob. That's your fault. But we'll see how that goes. But the way I spoke to you in the camera like this, it's gonna be on Instagram, YouTube, and probably TikTok. And it's the funny part that I'm gonna say this. It's not real funny. I think in my word of saying you didn't put the 30-day written notice, and I didn't get a chance to appeal it. To me, I was going to appeal it, but I'm gonna say to myself, why raise the taxpayer money if we paying taxes altogether the same? You say you've been working for the years of social worker. I've been working somewhere for years, for almost 24 years. I think I'm a bit smarter than you. Just think how you put. I'm also half Puerto Rican and half Guyana, so there's a mixture there. Which one has the more fire? But again, social worker, 6th floor. I think my mom should have stayed where you're at. She already knows the people, but you didn't want the long term care for her because I think Medicaid is not going to pay off the money for the long term care. That means you don't care about Medicaid money. Then I don't know what to say. But the one thing that got me really upset was how you remark about the patient. The couple's wife, her husband needs the long term beds, and she can't walk very far. I can walk. The question is, have you observed my mom about walking? Check her out. Investment out.